What's cracking? It's Lil Eazy, Prince of Compton, and you're listening to Breaking Records Radio.
What's up? This is Derek.
Jamie Madrock.
Man, this your man's Obi Trice.
This is Ad-Lib.
Yo, what up? This is Spex One.
This is Spesh K.
Hot Rock's the motherfucking Skot MC.
Breaking
Records Radio out here.
This is Breaking Records Radio.
Check them out, man.
Yes, Breaking Records Radio and the place to be. You know what it is, your host Maloney, and we got a special guest with us right now, Lil Eazy.
What's going on with
How's
you?
it going, man?
Pretty good, man.
And so you're touring in Canada right now. Is this your first time up doing
this is my
the Canada tour?
Very first time in Canada.
Yeah?
Yes.
And you came when the time was right, when it's nice and cold out?
Hey, yeah, Yes, indeed. Came bundled. Yeah, I didn't know it was just going to be this cold.
Yeah, did you have to buy a couple coats and shit?
Very much, yeah. One on the bed at Hanson, $200 coat in Canada. Like, wow. But I bought it and I had it shipped to me in Compton before I even got to Canada.
Oh, word, okay.
So I could make sure that it was cool, and then it got to me, and the day before I left, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Use it. I mean, got out here, it was like, oh yeah, this came in handy.
Yeah, no shit, eh? So what? So you've been all over the place because you guys started out on the West Coast, right?
Yeah, in what you call it, BC.
BC,
yes,
yeah.
Yes.
And then you kind of just made your way up over, and then
to the East Coast of Canada. Yes.
And is this the last date of the tour then?
No, we have one more tomorrow in Oshawa.
Oh, okay, so you do Oshawa tomorrow and then fly up from Toronto.
That's it. Fly home from Toronto.
So what's the experience been like being in Canada touring for the first time?
It's amazing. Like, I traveled the world, and this is a new place for me. You know what I mean? It was a blessing, and when you get here, you just you see the love. I love doing. We did places like Whistler, Nanaimo, Chilliwack. You know what I mean? And those little small places. You know, as we gonna see tonight in Brantford. You know what I mean? I enjoy these. You know what I mean? Because you get so much love and individuals who really got a thing for hip hop, you know what I mean? Even in what was that? Calgary. Calgary was a West Coast hip hop fan base, you know what I'm saying, crowd, you know what I mean? That was a nice crowd, and they were like, you know, strictly hip hop. You know what I mean? And we did the college in Ottawa, you know what I mean? So I just seen the love that, you know what I mean, my father spread around the world, and the love that, you know, Canada has for West Coast music, you know what I mean, the old school music, and even some were fans of me and myself. So it was nice.
And that's one thing about Canada too that I think a lot of people don't realize that aren't from here, but the West Coast hip hop really seemed to resonate in Canada, especially at least like I've never been out west and stuff. She used to live in Calgary, so she knows better as far as that sense goes.
They were word for word, you know.
Yeah,
and, it was crazy because even here, Calgary's a bigger town, and then I hear that I'm pretty sure. But when you run into the individuals at the desk, the managers and all that, and they, you know, are knowing about the show and want to come to the show, like, you know, that's kind of just amazing and weird to me, you know what I mean? Not weird, but in a bad way, but, you know, like, wow, you know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't never experienced that, you know what I mean? So you can see the sense of love they have for music all around, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and the West Coast hip-hop definitely resonates with us. Like, me and Brandon here, we go back, and in high school, that's what we used to do, like, because, I mean, we're, like, what, 10, 15 years older than the n.w.a generation.
Yeah.
And that's all we would ever listen
very
to.
Much, very much.
And that was growing up for us too. Gangs like n.w.a, EPMD, Run DMC, all that was so influential. And that's the thing about all the rap music that we came up with. It resonated so well with kids from Brantford, Ontario, and like it touches. Obviously, there's not a lot of tracks from n.w.a that are talking about the life that I'm living, but there's something that was so well done by them that just touched all of us that we could get down with.
And I think it's that sense of that the anti-establishment theme with it too, right? Like you got songs like "Fuck the Police," but with every song,
First Amendment,
you have exactly. You have that freedom of speech, and you have that you know, you just don't really get that so much in music nowadays. I feel like where it's just that what captures that that youthful aggression, I guess you could really say. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But so to have a legacy like your father's, like that you follow in the footprints. Actually, I'll let you ask this because you kind of worded it better than I had.
So obviously, your father left a huge footprint on the hip hop game, and he was very influential. Do you find it a little bit tough to take on the name of your father and continue his legacy, and also try to almost step apart from it as your own artist at the same time?
Good question. A lot of people don't really highlight on unless they I did like a major interview or a TV story or documentary. No, I didn't get in this game to get my own lane. I didn't get my own accolades. I got in this game just to represent a legacy. And it's times where you have tours or I come across individuals like I did in Canada on this tour or in UK or in Australia or even Vietnam, to say, to where individuals have acknowledgement for wanting to hear and know me. And I'm like, hey, you know what I mean? I kind of, you know what I mean? It's humbling, you know, you kind of do it, but people don't understand that I didn't get in this to mark my own territory. So when you look at it as far as is it a big shoes to fill? No, I'm just pushing on the legacy. I felt the time that I started music was forgotten, you know what I mean? And that was like back in 2002. You feel what I'm saying? Now look at, we 20-some years later, and we finally have a movie for the young generation to know who really started this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And they just got in the Hall of Fame. So it's feel like I like the pushing from I did back in 2002 till now was, you know what I mean, some accomplishments and some, you know, milestones that you reach to sit here and just get the name and legacy that you want to represent out. You know what I mean? I can't, there's nothing you can do. Nobody can reiterate n.w.a. There's not going to be no other. And then you have the individuals that come to say, oh yeah, what, like he's just trying to imitate Eazy. That's my father. I lost my father when I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
He was a great father. He was a good father. You tell me a father that's a good father and a great father and is an iconic father in this music game or in this world period, wouldn't you not want to sit here and be like? Or either just not the fact of being like, I mean, like I'm just being me.
You carry that legacy.
You know what I'm saying? I just want to push it for the people to know who started this, who originated gangster rap, who gave you the First Amendment, whose idea was it, who gave you Dr. Dre, who gave you, the list goes on, who gave you Ice Cube, who gave you, the list goes on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And in that list, I'm talking the Snoop Dogs, the Dog Pounds, the 50 Cents, the Eminems, and all that. If you didn't have my father, you wouldn't have had no creation of none of that.
Yeah.
To any genre of music you want to take it to, you feel what I'm saying? Anywhere. Yeah. You know what I mean? We could take it as the down south. Where did they get that motto to sit here like as Master P did? He learned it and he'll tell you himself.
The West Coast.
From Eazy-E.
Yeah.
Not the West Coast. I got it from Eazy-E.
Word.
You know what I mean? Eazy-E told me and showed me how to do this. You know what I mean?
And even for anybody to say like, oh, you just want to be like your dad. Like, no, I don't want to be like my dad. I am like my dad. That's my fucking dad.
Period. It's shoot to the same name. My name's Eric Wright.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sometimes we get confused with governmental issues. You know what I mean?
Say
you know
word,
what I mean?
eh?
Yeah, real talk. You feel what I'm saying? Until they find out he's deceased. You know, I'm the only Eric Wright. It's like my son. He's 5, so I'm sure you don't owe you no time. You know what I mean? So it was just, you know, I mean, that's just my drive to it. So it wasn't for anybody to think like, oh, you just doing this to get this. I didn't want my own name. Now, hey, if I step out and I take that lane for the fans that are true fans and have the respect for the underground music that I have done, you feel what I'm saying? Then hey, you know what I mean? I'm grateful for it, and I'll give you something to hear. You feel what I'm saying? But until now, I'm just gonna keep pushing this legacy.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like even like your mixtape Compton was a really slept on mixtape.
Man, I appreciate it, brother. See, a lot of people don't know. It's a fan came to me on this tour. I put it on my Instagram, and he brought out the Rebirth of Gangster Rap CD, and I think it was in Calgary. That's what hit Calgary and hit me so much, because for an individual to follow and know me that much, and he had this tape, which I can't get myself no more. You know what I'm saying? Like, the CD,
you try to buy it from?
Yeah, the CD, the mixtape, the CD.
Well, I think I
it.
remember being, maybe I was 15, 16 years old. You were on an award show, maybe, like a hip-hop award.
Honors.
Hip Hop Honors,
the thing
and
about
then you
it,
came out.
Yeah, I put that together.
Yeah.
The VH1 came at me and they wanted to do, at that time, everybody knows, early in my career, I had a problem with game. And and we were going through our complications being young. And so the TV network wanted to sit here and have Game represent with me. So I'm like, oh no, like no, you know what I mean? I'm gonna make a real power move. No. You know what I'm saying? My stepmother called like, hey, they're saying you don't want to do it. I'm not. It don't have to sit here and be this significant for my father's legacy to be represented. It'd be whatever I wanted to do. So I said to myself, okay, we just want to get a bigger genre of across the world. I said, okay, you want to hit a further genre? Then okay, we're doing it on the East Coast. You're doing something about a West Coast artist. Now let's touch the South. So what we're gonna do is Young Jeezy, who he named himself after. What was the group he was in? Boys in the Hood.
Yeah.
So here's the inspiration of the world to bring on him, and he was hot at the time. He still is, still relevant. And I brought Young Jeezy, and I said, well then what we're gonna do is me and DJ Yellow will open it up, and we'll Bone Thugs and Harmony open it up. I'll come out, me and Young Jeezy will do that, which is his homage and appreciation to what he got in the game for.
Yeah.
And I put the whole show together like that. We didn't have no good rehearsal. I don't think Young Jeezy knew all of the lyrics to Boys in the Hood at the time, which, you know, kind of shocked me. And hey, just so happened, I was like, hey, so what if it goes wrong? He's like, we're just going to cut it. And sure enough, we did it, man. You know, you were getting to see it. And back to the mixtape, yeah, you got to think what's crazy was, you listen to individuals now, you listen to the YGs, you know what I'm saying? All respect to him, and the Nipsey's, much respect to him. That's my homeboy. And you listen to the genre of music that they've came out with in the last couple of years. I was told my Rebirth of Gangsta Rap was too hardcore.
Yeah.
When I first did it, you know what I mean? Which was a different time, so individuals understand why I did that mixtape and then took a longness of a break. I got in the industry, worked at Ruthless Records, and kind of just, you know what I'm saying, perfected myself to learning this business, because it just wasn't, you know, for me. Like, you know, you want me to tone myself down? Like, look where I come from. And if you go back, you can listen to Rebirth Against Rap and play it today, and it'll line up with whatever anybody else has going on. You feel me? As far as in street music, which what it was called, Rebirth Against Rap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but hey, that's that. But yeah, I keep it. I got it on my phone. The fan came and brought me the CD. I'm like, wow. I'm like, I'm kind of feeling some type of way. I can't even get my own shit. But
Well, I heard that track too. It was on Waist Deep.
This Ain't a Game.
Yeah, I heard that, and I heard the voice come on, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? And then looked it up, and I'm like, Lil Eazy, absolutely, that's Lil Eazy. Ran to Maloney, and I'm like, you gotta listen to this. And then found Lil Easier Said Than Done, Boys in the Hood 06, 07.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is gonna be my dude. This is the Prince of Compton, man. Like,
Real
this
talk,
is a rebirth
real
of a
talk.
generation.
Yeah,
because he always idolized Eazy-E too, like huge.
Yeah. So he's still doing it, man. I'm working on an EP now. This Canada tour took a little time away from me. But
I was actually just gonna ask if you had a project in the works.
Took a little time away from me. When I get back home, as soon as I land from Toronto, I'm going straight to Compton. So I'm gonna do a little Instagram for people to see the garage, which was being built as I was on tour, and just finishing up my own personal studio, which is my father's studio when he started n.w.a. in my house in Compton.
Oh yeah,
and yeah. So I'm doing that, and that just give me more inspiration. And so I finally do an EP titled Yellow Brick Road to Compton. And I have a mixtape with my brother, which is my father's other son, and our group, which is my father's nephews and stuff. We call it Compton Money Gang. So we're going to do a mixtape first, and then we're going to shoot an EP with it, and we have visuals with it, visuals with every song, kind of like a movie setup for all the fans that were, you know, anticipated to like, wow, what happened? And basically, you know, again, on this tour, we basically just do the old school Boys in the Hood tour, but it's just a campaign for individuals to know, hey, you know, wow, he can perform. Wow, he can represent his legacy. Now let's see what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? So that's my plan.
And that's kind of what I was going to ask too, because you said you got into the game to represent your dad's legacy, and then with what I had seen from different footage from the tour and stuff, I seen that you had been performing a lot of the classics, right? So that's actually what I was going to ask. Was that the whole idea, going on tour with Yella and stuff?
Yeah. It's just a blessing.
Hold the torch.
Yeah, it's just a blessing, really. So, and it kind of worked in a weird way, because more so, Yella just got back into DJing, and then the movie kind of refurbished the whole legacy, and it sold the albums, n.w.a. albums sold more than they did when my father was alive. So you got, like you said, like you just said, quoted earlier, same thing I tripped off of when I did Australia tour last year with Yella and the UK. We did the UK, Australia, Korea, Vietnam, Kuala Lumpur, and we did all kind of places doing the same tour that we're doing here, and basically still continuing this. And when I go in the club and I'm looking and I'm like, wow, so kids coming up to me and it's like, man, your father was the best. I'm like, wow, cool. How old are you? Like 18. Like, wow, like you weren't even born when my father passed away.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? Like, whoa, you know what I mean? And it shocked me. And then I told my brother, and I got home, I said, wow, bro, you know what? These kids has never seen Pops besides what they see on his TV. And the only experience, like, and I give appreciation to the fan love to when they say, hey, I never would ever in my life get to see Eazy, but I'm glad I came closest to seeing him. And now they want to introduce themselves to who I am. You feel what I'm saying? Like, you took that legacy. And I said, hey, it just kind of fell that way. We didn't plan for it, because Yella just did it just to get back in the groove because the movie came out. And that is my plan and my goal. And it just so happened we coincide. Like, hey, I'm going to go and we just fuck it. We're just going to do all your Pop songs and introduce you to the world of who you are and what you're trying to do. And I'm still DJing, and sure enough, that's what happened. And it kind of went hand in hand to sitting there kind of like what you call like a preview of what, you know what I'm saying, of what I turned myself into wanting to do. You know, I just want to represent a legacy, and now it's like, hey, you represented it, and to these kids, it's the only thing they're going to see.
Yeah.
Besides me and you guys, you feel what I'm saying? We grew up to the music, you feel what I'm saying? We understood it. These kids grew up just to, you know what I'm saying, the legacy itself, not the individual, you feel what I'm saying? And And like they say, you're the closest thing to it. So I kind of take that drive and use it as ammunition to sit here and give them what they want.
And even still with our generation, we would have been too young back in the day too. Your father would have passed away when we were 6 or 7
I'm saying,
old.
but at least you was alive. Your parents could tell you about it. So much of these kids just really just picked it up and was like, wow, you know what I mean? Some got introduced to it from their parents, but to think like, whoa, kid, like wow, Pops was gone, 23 years and you 18, you know what I mean? You weren't even thought of.
Yeah.
Your parents was partying still, you know what I'm saying? They were still young, you feel what I mean? And to think like, man, you weren't thought of at all, like, you feel what I'm saying? Like 5, 6 years after my father passed, you know what I'm saying, his music is still touched, and finally, these kids got to understand for years and years and generations on. So again, I feel like milestones was touched. Like, you know what I mean? You got a young generation that, you know what I mean, it's really just, it should have been just washed away, and now they like, wow, that's my favorite rapper. Whoa, okay, that's good, you know what I mean? Now we doing what we doing. Now we supposed to be doing. You know what I mean?
And that was a huge thing when I was growing up in high school too. Like Eazy was always my favorite rapper. People used to call me Eazy B.
His nickname to me is Lil Eazy.
That's
Eazy
right.
B was always the
Easy
dude that, and I used to wear a Compton hat and Lokes that said Eazy on the side and a big chain, and it was the most ridiculous thing you've ever seen because a white dude from Brantford, Ontario,
That's
obviously doesn't have a whole lot in common with your dad,
right.
but like that's what I mean. Like touching his music, it touched me. Just being the shorter guy, like with his tracks talking about it doesn't really matter how big you are. Anybody that fucks with you, fuck with them back. It doesn't matter.
Real talk. Little big man.
Yeah,
Little
exactly.
big man compliment. Yeah, that's what Pops. That was Pops, man. That was his motto, and that's his reputation and respect in Compton. The little motherfucker you don't fuck with.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But so it's just good, man. And like I say, I use it as like, okay, cool. You know what I mean? We didn't touch like half the world. You know what I mean? And let them know who I am, what I wanted to do. Now, if you want to say or continue this journey, I can let you know about myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And with that being said, too, like, so you actually yourself got to touch a bit on the legacy because the last Eazy-E album that came out, you had your debut on that, right?
What? And then now you got me thinking, when I go home, right in my living room, I got a plaque for it, man. So, the feel, the feel of what it is a plaque of every single album my father put out. And at the bottom is the Eternal E album, presented to Lil Eazy-E for Little Easier Said Than Done.
Little easier said than done. Blowing up the West is what I'm going to do.
Yeah, well done.
So it's like a perfect way to actually carry on the torch too, even if it wasn't meant. Even if it wasn't, in the plans at that time, it's like the perfect kind of segue into carrying on the legacy as well.
Definitely, brother.
And with that being said, like you talking about kind of reconnecting with Yella since the movie came out and stuff, it's got me a little bit curious. With you putting out the new mixtape or the album, is there any chance like we'll have a little bit of Yella production on there, some Yella cuts or something?
That's like a needle in a haystack. We're gonna try it, man. Most I can do is get them on the road to DJ with me. But
if it's possible,
it's possible.
Happen.
It's funny because you're like maybe the 4th or 5th person on this tour that has asked that question. Like, man, can we get a track for you to produce with E? And who knows? But Yella's big thing is, you know what I mean? I could push that. Possibly he'll see the energy in Surge, but he just made a promise, like, you know what I mean? Like, once my father was passed away, he didn't want to deal with music. He started it with him. He ended it with him. So I respect that. You know what I'm saying? I don't knock it. You know what I mean? He might help with a lot of executive produce on the side, maybe mixing and mastering some things. Production wise, we might see.
Yeah,
we might see.
And that's a great thing too for him to say, like, the band's not all together, so I can't keep it going. But I can touch on things and I can help it out. I can give him guidelines, but I can't be there. I can show him the way to figure shit out.
It's cool too, because like when I interviewed DMC or Run DMC, that's actually a very similar sentiment he had. Was like when JMJ passed, he was like n.w.a. can't continue because he's like, if this were like Led Zeppelin, he's like, that's our drummer. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you can't take our drummer. Yeah, you can't take him away, and then we can't carry on the band like that. So he's like, out of respect, we had to put down the Run DMC crown. Yeah. So that's dope. But is there any of the old school dudes like 187 or any of those guys?
Oh yeah, me and Cocaine, we got a track together. We got a track, Living Life of G. Me and Cocaine got tracks together even way back to the Rebirth of Gangsta Rap. Yeah. We hustle and we ball all day. Yeah, he's on a lot of things, and we got a handful of records. Actually, me and Cocaine, me and Bone Thugs and Harmony, of course. MC Ren is actually getting back in the booth.
Gonna ask you if Ren might touch something on it.
Ren's gonna touch some things.
Dope.
I'm gonna give it a surprise because if I definitely do, I'm gonna do like a real niggas type of situation where it's just probably me, Ren, and Cube. Cube's always been an inspiration to help. My birthday, what was it, year before last, we all did Coachella. That was like a, you know what I mean, certain milestones, brother.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To perform with Dre, Cube, Ren, and Yella, you know what I'm saying? Game was there. Kendrick Lamar was there. We did Coachella, and it was on my birthday to represent my father. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, man, I couldn't. There was nothing else that could explain it. You know what I'm saying? Nothing could explain it out at all, and that was real cool. And they actually surprised me with that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was a big performance before the movie came out, and I was in some trouble. Didn't make it. Ended up making it for the premiere of the movie. So year comes around, Cube's doing Coachella, so I get a call like, hey, you know, we just want you to come by the studio and Cube wants to talk to you. You feel what I'm saying? So I get there, I see Yella and them there, and I'm like, oh, okay, what's going on? It's like, oh, no, they just felt like you know, want to bring you out, roll it, see if you was free to roll with us to Coachella. So I'm like, yeah, cool. So it's like, all right, we get into a studio area, you know, like rehearsal part. So big old black van pulls up, like one of them tour buses. And it's tinted, you know what I mean? It looks like, you know, the president's in it or some shit.
Yeah.
Here comes Dr. Dre. So when he gets out, I'm like, whoa, okay, what's going on? So I see Game's DJ there. So Game's DJ sitting there is like, man, it's finna be big. So I'm like, what is? What's they all finna perform? So I'm like, oh, that's the shit. Yeah, he's like, yeah, Chuck out there, all there, you know, called Game Chuck. So he's like, he's in Coachella already. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm like, oh, wow. I'm like, man, this is cool. Wow, my birthday. We get inside the thing. So Cube is telling the people, like, no cameras. And can you guys cut the cameras off for this quick second while we do this? So as they sit there, I'm watching them. And I actually got a picture of it. It's my phone. So I'm like, flash a picture, like, look at they all standing there. Got my father. So I'm sitting there, like, snapping, like, you know, keeping my camera up. And I'm like, wow. So they rehearsing, you know what I'm saying? So they're rehearsing their things and this, that, and the other. About 5 minutes goes by. And he's like, all right, so E. And I stop. I'm thinking these motherfuckers see my camera. Like, damn, I'm gonna trip on me getting a picture, Cube. He's like, so you gonna, we figured out which part he gonna come in at. So my jaw dropped, dog. And I'm like, and he's like, so you come, you know what I mean? And so I'm gonna do this, and I brought my son out, yada yada. I'm gonna bring Woo Doop, and you gon', and you know, they cued it. So, you know me, I know it like the back of my hand. And, you know, Yella's like my coach, because Yella's like basically already kind of giving the cool points. Like, yeah, he's already just do what we do on the road. And he's like, he knows it. So he does it. And I mean, he pluses it. And I went like, man. And he's like, so that's what you going to do. Oh, happy birthday. I was like, oh, man. I'm like, what? This is something else. And even the better part about it is, you know what I'm saying? I don't care about it. I didn't, you know, the bucket list is done. I'm in awe. You know, all blessings and all that. We finish, we perform. I get to watch it. I get to watch Game, watch Dre with the rest of the group, watch Kendrick come at the end with Cube. All that, we walk off, we do our thing. Cube gives me a hug. It's like, man, I really appreciate you. Thank you. Like, put on a great performance because he was kind of nervous to pull it off. You know, first time. Yeah. They all have been on the stage.
And especially to surprise you, bringing you into the mix too, right?
All that. So it's like, this is the first time they all been on the stage for years, like since probably my dad.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, period. You feel what I'm saying? It was like one of them touching moments. And then he turns to me and he's like, I want you to stop by my office tomorrow to pick up a check. I said, huh? I said, dog, you don't got to pay. Like, no. He said, man, everybody else got paid. Why you can't? I like, well, shit. Happy birthday to me. I'm like, shit. Like, what? Like, all right. Like, damn, man, I get paid for it? Wow. You know, I mean, I'm humbled. Like, you know, this is enough as it is, bro. I'm like,
this is my birthday and
what?
Christmas.
All that. Yeah, I'm on the side of the stage. They can't stop me. I'm going everywhere. I'm driving around. Travis Barker's one of my boys, man. And he was there. Yeah, Travis, I'm actually on Game's documentary, too. Me, him, and A40. Travis Barker produced that record.
Were you on documentary too?
Yeah, I'm on documentary too. Yes, I am. Yeah.
Because I never peeped the whole album, but I heard a good chunk of it. I didn't realize that. That's crazy.
I think blue side, whatever side, two side, whatever fucking side.
Because I knew you and Game were cool again now.
Yeah, we stressed my boy. That's my boy in the beginning, man. I was just a knucklehead.
Yeah, because my Confessions, that was...
Oh my god,
that's such a hard joint. Do you rock that on this tour at all? Do you do any of your solo stuff?
Nah, I don't. It's somebody else asked me that the other day. He's like, E, why did you do this song? I say, man, hey, when I'm with Yella and you know me and him come, we're just doing
You're
our
doing the
old
boys in the
school.
hood.
Yeah, but a lot of fans sit there and ask, and I said, hey, that's just a campaign for me to return, bro.
I was just gonna say, at least now you know you got the love here.
Yeah,
Now
all
you
the
can
way,
come back
all the
and do
way.
your
So just
thing.
like I say, back to what I said, it just seems like it's a campaign to get everybody introduced to it.
Yeah.
And then, bam, let's hit you back with the stuff that I know. And, you know, a lot of underground stuff that individuals know. But yeah, me and Game is Tripe, man. That was one of the hardest mixtape songs in the back, and actually that was the only mixtape song that got me a $1 million deal.
Word.
That's 16 verses. That's 16 bars. That's it.
Yeah, because
On
everything was on the
confession?
strength of the
Everybody
mixtapes
want to know
back then.
about
right?
Eazy's son until I raised my white tee and they seen his gun.
Yeah.
The second coming of a nigga with an attitude. Yeah.
Yeah, because back then the mixtapes actually really dictate. It was like what the cosign was in the 90s, what the mixtapes were to the early 2000s.
Very much.
If you got on the right mixtape, the right verse, or the right song, or you were
Got
making enough
you, man,
momentum,
what?
you had a deal like that. And speaking of the labels too, like, because you actually got back involved with Ruthless in the 2000s for a bit, right?
Yes, indeed.
You had some issues with them, so you started n.w.a. Entertainment.
Yeah, I worked with Ruthless when I was younger, and then since I've been in the game, when I first got my first deal, it was Kings of LA, which is on my arm, and you know, first thing to get me marked and understood, and then I went on to progress when I worked with Ruthless. A little before I worked with Ruthless, my bad, to start my own production company, which was n.w.a. Entertainment.
Okay.
Yep, and I still have that. Yellow Brick Road is going to go through that, you know what I mean? And that's still mine, still home. A label situation, no, I'm just polishing this game to understand. I'm in my own label, you know what I mean? I might just not have $50 million to play with, you know what I mean? Chump change, but I'm on my own label as far as, and just, you know, you guys know how this game is now.
Yeah.
It's more digital, it's more, you know what I'm saying, independent.
The artist has a lot more
lane,
control.
very much.
As long as you withhold
I
signing a
can
pen
tour
to something.
myself
then-
without being on a 360 or having to give it to somebody. So
Yeah.
you feel what I mean? I kind of like we know the game. It's just polished in it, which was needed. So it was the right time. Timing was the best thing for it. You know what I mean? That I didn't come at the time, but more so was it was just label situation that I was not comfortable with. So I just more so held myself, and hey, just chill, underground music and tour.
Yeah. And now, before we wrap it up, too, I would just like to. Or did you want to say something?
I got one.
Go ahead.
What is the most important thing you learned from your father? Like, he passed when you were 10. Like, what's
How to be a good father.
How to be a good father.
Yeah, I got kids myself. I got 2 sons of
Awesome.
myself. So how to be a good father.
Yeah.
You know, every time I look them in the eye, man, I just realize anything I do, you just make sure that you're on the right, you know, path in life and doing the right things. So therefore, you could be there to provide for your kids because I don't want them to go through what we went through.
Exactly. Now you got Eric Wright the third.
Yep, he's there. That's his name, Eric Wright III.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep, Eric and Ryan. Yep, Eric Wright III, Ryan Richard Wright, which is named after my dad's dad.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
some of my kids. Yeah.
And then the one thing actually is kind of in lineage with what he asked you as well too. But I was gonna ask, what is your fondest memory with your father? prior to
Oh
his
man,
passing?
just plenty of things, man. As far as and just the fun times we had, just being a father. You know, it took me a while because he was a father to understand who he was. See what I'm saying? So we used to be at Disneyland and just, you know what I'm saying, just like, man, you know, wondering as we're going, like, fuck, well, shit, Daddy, the magic. I mean. Space Jam is finna just get crowded. Like, come on, like, would y'all leave my daddy alone? Like, why do they want to take all these pictures with you? You know what I'm saying? And just, you know what I mean? But, so as a kids, we didn't really grasp hold of that.
It's almost so you have to get older to understand what the grasp of like what your father meant to the
Like,
world.
how do all these people know my dad?
All of them, like, what the fuck? We trying to get on this ride. We want the teacups. Teacups, daddy. Like, what is all this? You know what I mean? Like, forget them kids. We want teacups. We got here. We gonna stand in this line long.
Park the goddamn 6'4" and let's go.
All the way. It's about a line. It's as long as the line for the teacups. Like, all these people is waiting for. They not in the line for teacups. They wait for daddy. Oh, nah.
We'll just meet you when we get off the ride.
Wait, man.
Dad's got a bigger lineup than Mickey Mouse.
Seriously, he did. He did. Mickey Mouse was coming to take pictures of my daddy. For real. That's when you knew it was fucked up. It wasn't like we was looking for Mickey Mouse no more. We like, daddy. Like, they didn't look at Mickey. Even Mickey's in line. Goofy, all of them. Like, what is they doing? You know, as a kid, we thought y'all was an amusement shit.
That's awesome. All right, man. Well, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it. I'm looking very forward to the show tonight.
Most definitely, brother.
See what you guys do.
Brother. Most definitely. Appreciate it, bro.
It's gonna be a great night, man.
For sure, man.
Thank you for your time, brother. Breaking Records Radio.
All the time. Check it out.
Peace.